Once upon a time, there was a king whose little kingdom was as big as his eyes could see, and he loved it very much. The king had one daughter, and he wanted her to marry a man wise and clever who would someday become a good king to his people. So he got it announced in his kingdom and all the kingdoms around that whosoever wishes to marry the princess must fulfill 2 conditions. 1, he must bring to the king a collection of the finest pearls ever seen. And 2, he must fulfill some special tasks the king will set for him. Soon, noblemen's sons, princes, merchants' sons came in great numbers to the palace. Most of them brought a collection of the finest pearls you have ever seen, but none of them could fulfill any of the tasks the king set for them. They were all made to return without as much as looking at the princess. Soon, the number of potential suitors dwindled, and the king began to worry.
Such a wide world, and not one good suitor for our daughter?
All of them, either pompous or silly or lazy. What is to become of our daughter and our kingdom after we are gone?
Don't worry, my dear. There must be someone in this world who will be clever enough to do the tasks we lay for him.
It so happened that near the sea in this kingdom, there lived a fisherman with his 2 sons, Paul and Jesper. Paul was the older one, lazy and arrogant, while Jesper was clever, hardworking, and kind.
Paul, wake up! You still haven't got out of bed, and see Jesper has already laid the fishing lines and got the boat ready. Father, if you think I am lazy and useless, why do you ask me to do anything? Let Jesper do it.
That day, the fisherman had great luck. His net caught 20 oysters, and when he opened them, he found to his great astonishment that each of the oysters contained a pearl as dazzling as the stars of the night. They surely were the finest pearls in the whole world. He went home and showed the pearls to his sons.
20 pearls as sparkling as the stars. Father, now that we have pearls, why don't we try to go to the palace and see if we can win the heart of the princess? I shall divide the pearls equally among you, and then first Paul and then Jesper, you go and try.
So Paul set out with his pearls the next morning. He walked in the forest when suddenly he heard a voice.
Please, will you help us?
Paul looked around and then saw a little ant crawling up his hand.
Hello, over here on your arm. Can you please help us? The beetles are forcefully trying to usurp our home. We must defend it, but we need help or else we shall be vanquished. Help us, please. We might be helpful to you someday.
Of what help can an ant be to a man? Off you go. I have better things to do than waste my time on your petty squabbles.
And Paul went on his way. A little while later, he met an old woman. Hello, young man. What are you carrying about you so carefully?
I am carrying cinders. Do you want some?
Cinders, is it? So be it. But would you have some bread? I feel so hungry, and wherever you are going, you are sure to be served lunch there.
I told you, all I carry is cinders. Now off you go. I have more important things to do than chat up with nosy old women.
Paul reached the palace and showed the pearls to the king and his jewelers.
Your Highness, I have never seen a brighter pearls in my life.
They do look exquisite. But what is this? What is happening?
The pearls just turned to cinders. You would bring fake pearls before the king? How dare you?
Young man, I am disappointed that a man like you lives in my kingdom and breathes its air. Now go away from here and never show me your face again. Go away before I put you in the dungeons forever.
Paul ran away from the palace as fast as he could. He reached home and plonked himself in bed. It was clear to the fisherman and Jesper that Paul had not succeeded.
Jesper, looks like it is now your turn to try.
So, the next morning, Jesper set out towards the palace. On his way, as he traveled in the forest, he heard a voice.
Can you please help us?
Who is this? Whose voice is it that I hear?
Look here, on your arm. I am the king of the ants. The beetles have come to take away our home in which we have lived for years, and we are battling with them to defend it. But yesterday, we suffered so many losses that we will not be able to defeat them without help. Please, will you help us?
Well, taking away someone's home is not right. Of course I shall help you. Take me to the Beetle King. Oh, King of the Beetles! As you can see, my size is much bigger than yours, and so is my strength. In one ramming of my boot, I can take out half your army. Now the King of Ants is my friend, and what you are doing to him and his people is wrong. So, do you want me to use my boot? Or will you leave the ants alone and never ever hurt them again?
We promise to leave the ants alone.
Your Highness, the King of Ants, I stay in that hut by the sea. If the beetles ever trouble you again, just send someone to my home and I shall protect you. I promise.
That will not be necessary. Horses, retreat. Thank you so much for your help.
No problem. After all, nobody should be allowed to treat anyone unfairly.
As a token of our appreciation for your help, great Jesper, I give you my solemn word that whenever you need my help, all you need to do is call Ant King, and I and my people will appear. We can reach anywhere from wherever.
Thank you, Your Highness. I shall always remember that.
Jesper went on his way, and a little while later, he met the old woman.
Hello, young man.
Hello, my lady. Quite a nice day, isn't it?
What is it that you carry about you so carefully?
Oh, those are pearls for the king. I am on my way to the palace to meet him and see if I can win the heart of the princess.
Giving the king pearls is fine, but getting through the tasks is tough. Do you have some bread on you? I am rather hungry, and you shall be offered a grand meal at the palace.
Certainly. The city is not far. Please help yourself. Have a nice day.
Take this. In return for your kindness, take this whistle. It may not look like much right now, but when you blow into it, anything you desire will be returned to you.
That is quite an extraordinary gift. My lady, thank you.
Soon Jesper reached the palace and presented the pearls to the king. The jewelers and the courtiers were delighted.
I have never seen pearls like these before. With every passing moment, their luster seems to only increase, Your Highness.
Yes, they are marvelous. Where did you get them from, young man? My father caught the oysters in the fishing net, sire. Fishing net? Is your father then a fisherman? Oh, yes, Your Highness. He is a fisherman. He feeds this kingdom with the fish he catches. My father works hard and I am proud of him. Indeed, young man. Your father is doing great work. Very well. Rest now, and tomorrow we shall begin your tests.
So, the next day the king called for Jesper and took him to a granary where there lay a huge mound of mixed grain.
As you can see, 5 types of grain have been mixed up in this pile. If you can separate it all out into 5 mounds by the hour before sunset, you shall move on to your next task tomorrow. But if even 1 grain is in the wrong pile, you shall have to go home. As you say, sire, I shall do my best.
So the king had Jesper locked in the granary so that no help would reach him and left him alone to complete the impossible task. Jesper tried for an hour, but he soon realized that the task was too tedious for him to complete within the allotted time.
What do I do? Each grain is smaller than an ant, and I have to pick... Wait a minute! The ant! The king of ants! He said I could call on him whenever I needed help. Well, now is the time. Your Highness, the king of ants!
Here I am, friend. Tell me, what can we do for you?
You came!
I told you we would come wherever, whenever.
Jesper told the king of ants everything about the impossible task.
Why don't you go over in that corner and rest? My people and I will finish the job in no time.
So the ant king and his people finished the sorting of the grain into 5 neat mounds, such that when the king came at the appointed hour, he was shocked to see that not only had Jesper finished his allotted task, but also had spare time to take a nap.
Jesper! How did you separate all the grain? You have indeed done well. But tomorrow you shall have yet another task.
The next day, the king called Jesper out into a meadow.
Jesper, I have had my huntsman catch 100 hare only for this test. You will have to look after them. They will graze in the meadow the whole day, and in the evening, an hour before sundown, you must return to the palace with all of them. Even if 1 hare is missing, you shall have failed the task, and you will have to go home. I shall do my best, Your Highness.
Jesper knew the task was impossible. Who could control 100 hare who could run anywhere in the meadow or the forest beyond? And why would they return to Jesper when they got their freedom from the king's cages? As soon as they were released, the hare ran in all directions, and not one of them could be seen anymore. Jesper had all but lost the task when he put his hands in his pocket, as was his habit, and there he found the whistle the old woman in the forest had given him. He blew into it, and all the hare returned to him at once. So when it was time to go to the palace, using his whistle, Jesper was able to return with all 100 hare.
They are 100 hare, sire. I don't believe this. You indeed are clever. You have achieved impossible tasks. Bravo! Actually, sire, I have not truly passed the tests on my own. I had help. How is that possible?
Jesper told the king everything about the help from the ant king and from the whistle given to him by the old woman in the forest.
You see, sir, I had help. I did not clear the tests on my own. Well, to me, you did win the test, son, for you got help only in return for your wisdom and kindness. You will make a fine ruler for my kingdom. But Does the princess want to marry me, sire?
Yes, you are wise, kind, and clever man, Jesper. I would marry you.
And so Jesper and the princess were married with great celebration, and they lived happily ever after.